Okay. Let's see.
Malison: The Cursed City is a fantasy survival horror RPG published by Devolver Digital, currently in development, in which you investigate a sinister city filled with hundreds of grotesque monsters, demons, and weirdos. It focuses on exploration and atmosphere. Its main influences are both classic Western RPGs like Baldur's Gate, Japanese RPGs like Final Fantasy, as well as survival horror games such as the Resident Evil and Silent Hill series. As you sneak through the city, you encounter all sorts of strange characters, many of which you can speak to, trade with, recruit to your cause, steal from, or even attack if you so choose. You can approach this game in a million ways. It's up to you how you plan to survive. Your actions may lead to wealth, disaster, betrayal, or may even lead to uncovering some of the city's darkest secrets and the game's many hidden endings. The main character is no powerful hero. You awaken in the city transformed into a weak, frail goblin and may need to rely on desperate measures for your survival. You will likely need help from other survivors you meet, and it is up to you to decide who you trust and recruit to your cause. Combat is in a classic turn-based style with a focus on managing scarce resources and building unique strategies by recruiting all sorts of different party members, equipping them, and teaching them new skills. Monsters move closer to you during combat, increasing the threat and tension as they begin using their more devastating attacks. You do not want them too close. I stream development work of Malison Tuesday to Friday at 7 p.m. EST on Twitch. I also have new development update streams on Sunday nights at 8 p.m. EST. There is also a Discord you can join for the game. Check below.
same thing I do every night, Zen Lucas. There we go. That's right, folks. Look Outside is now out on GOG. Look Outside is now out on the GOG. DRM free if you want it. It's right there. Yep. Alright, let's put some music on and let's resume this. So just have one piece of God Mutt left to detail. After that I'll need to cut it up and implement it. So yeah, there's just this part left, and then there's some more stuff to do. Also, I do have some slightly bad news that... Wait, is the ad break still going? Oh. I thought the ad break had just stopped. I guess it just started. Whoops. Oh, wait then. I'll leave you all in suspense. I'll leave you all in suspense. Alright, I think the ad's over. Alrighty. So, yes, I was hoping that I would get... I was really hoping that I could launch the update this week, but it's probably going to be next week. And it's going to be pretty tight. The timing of the update is going to be pretty tight. Because the earliest I could get one final day of testing was Tuesday next week. And that's a little tight because it's a little tight, unfortunately, because I am leaving on Wednesday for like a few days. So if a problem comes up, I'm going to have like one day. If it comes out Tuesday, I'm going to have like one day to push it and to react to any like issues. So that's going to be a little tight. That's a little worrisome. But I think we should be fine. I mean, I think at this point, the build is pretty solid. So I'm not too worried, but, you know. It's definitely, you know. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I was hoping that I could, like, launch it on Friday or something. And then have the whole weekend to basically catch any issues and fix them. But I will have my laptop with me when I'm gone anyway, so if any like big problems come up, I'll be able to fix them. But you know, obviously it's a little easier to deal with this when you're back home. So it's not like a huge problem or anything. But you know, that does mean it is an unfortunate delay that makes things a little tighter. But I think it'll still be fine. So right now it's looking like the update is going to be Tuesday during the day, but we'll see. Unless they find like major issues with that last day of testing, I don't think at this point we're going to be finding major issues though. Like the issues they found last time were probably the last big ones. But that's why I want to get an extra day of testing, just really making sure it's all there. But yeah, I mean, if they do find something major, then there could be more problems, but I think that's unlikely at this point. So Eric, it does work on some music for Malison. Actually, one of the best songs in Look Outside was originally for Malison. But he's not the main composer for Malison. He's just one of the composers for Malison. He's made like I think 6 or 8 tracks. But yeah, Neon Layer is the main composer. I think. Oh, hey, he's there. Safety Gamer. I think it made like maybe 6 or maybe 8 tracks for Malison. So he made quite a bit. But yeah, Neon Layer is the one that composes most of the music in Malison. But yes, yeah, the song on the roof. The song on the roof. Well, no, it's now Neon Layer and J-Man. They work together now. So they're kind of working as a pair now for the music. Yeah, back in that Phantasy Star 4 music. Yeah, at this point, I mean, as far as like the music in Look Outside is concerned, at this point it becomes really awkward to add more music because at this point any music we add to the game is just not going to be in the soundtrack. Because now, like the soundtrack, it was already kind of a pain to like update the soundtrack with new tracks, but now that we're like into the process of like like sending the sound like the soundtrack to like streaming platforms. Now it becomes like an actual problem to change them. The process to get the music on those streaming platforms is is not a very smooth and quick one. So any sort of further changes or additions to the soundtrack would be like a huge pain to go through probably. I mean, I'm not against like more music coming in, but yeah, at this point it would all be music that doesn't make it in the soundtrack, the OST. And people make a lot of complaints about missing tracks. People make a lot of complaints when there's missing tracks. There were even some like negative reviews of the soundtrack at one point because there were like quote unquote glaring omissions in it. Though right now the soundtrack is huge. The soundtrack as it is now is enormous. And yeah, they were telling me, this is a really big soundtrack. Are you sure you don't want to like trim it down and like remove some of the tracks on it? They were saying like, on those streaming platforms, people tend to respond better to smaller albums. And I was like, yeah, I like, the soundtrack wasn't originally that packed with tracks. Like basically the people that are helping me setting it up were basically saying like, this is a lot of tracks. This is, you know, like, are you sure you don't want to sort of like trim it down to only keep sort of like you know, like the most important tracks of the album of the soundtrack? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, at first there were way fewer, but and like every omission led to like people people complaining. So we just basically put them all in after a while. I mean, we didn't actually put them all in. Like, there's a few things that I just didn't put in. There's a few things that are just like noise, you know? There's a few tracks that are just noise. Like the sound when you approach the window, you know? Stuff like this that's just like directional sounds and stuff. Like, I didn't put that in. And so far, nobody's complained. Hopefully. I'll cross my fingers that no one complains. Yeah, there you go. Distant Scream. Yeah, that's the one. You fucking know what it's called. I can't believe this. See? This is the fandom I have to deal with, people. You see what I'm dealing with? This is why the album's got fucking I don't know, like 96 tracks or whatever it is. This is why there's 96 tracks in there. Yeah, if I let Safety Gamer name them. If I let Safety Gamer name the tracks, the soundtrack would have a very different vibe, I think. It's got a certain history with track titles. Yeah, the Bug Wiener's a classic. I mean, that's a really good one. I mean, Bug Wiener's very evocative. If you don't know, that's the original name for Terminus, the song that plays when the bus crashes. That's the kind of soundtrack titles we'd have. I had to take over the naming duties. I'm sorry. It was originally for a different project. And I mean, okay, admittedly it was for a different project, and so in that context, you had come up with that name like during a game jam where you probably don't want to spend time, where you probably don't want to spend significant time coming up with track names. But you didn't have that excuse for all the names in the Barclay in the Barclay soundtrack. So you clearly have a bit of an affinity. You clearly have a little bit of an affinity for very, very stupid song titles. No, the game titles I came up with. The game titles I came up with. But he wrote most of the actual game, most of the actual game events. Which he sort of like extrapolated the idea of those games from the title. And sometimes I added like a description of the kind of game I was imagining it would be. But he basically just made it all up from there. I think there's like 2 games that I wrote at the end. And there was one other game that I had written a lot more, but we just completely replaced that. I think was it Blood Ghoul Orgy actually that I had written a whole, because I think I talked about this a few times. Yeah, oh yeah, because at first this was way before the game was like going to be sold. Like this was before the game had a deadline. I was imagining all of the games being like little interactive text adventure things instead of just being like a little event that plays out. So yeah, like the early plan before the game had a deadline was to have all of the games be little interactive stories that you're exploring every time you play. And yeah, the Honko one was gonna be like a little thing where you're, yeah, that was gonna be kind of an elaborate one. Some was gonna be more like interactive fiction stuff, like yeah, I think was it Blood Ghoul Orgy that I had written like a bunch of events for, but that was completely scrapped. Or no, maybe it wasn't. No, it was. I don't think it was Blood Ghoul Orgy. It was another of those that have like that kind of tone to it. It was the one that's like a really violent beat 'em up. I forget which one that is. Catafalque, maybe? No, Catafalque was supposed to be like a Kingsfield / Hexen sort of game. Wake the Blood Knight. Yes, that's the one. So Wake the Blood Knight, I had written like a whole thing that played out more like a tabletop, like a really violent tabletop adventure. Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one was completely scrapped. Because yeah, it was intended to be like a. Yeah, this one I had written it as like this interactive like branching story. It was like way too elaborate. Again, all of that was plans before the game had a deadline. So in my mind, I was just having fun. I was just making things elaborate for fun. So it's easy to not really put a cap on how complicated things are when you don't think you have a deadline yet. And then it became like a real serious project, so we had to simplify a lot of stuff. Like I was imagining Space Truckers being like a game where every session like you travel and like you buy and sell stuff. Like a Dope Wars or like Privateer kind of game. Where you're buying in some places and selling in others. I don't know if there's a name for those games. I don't know if there's a name for that genre. There were a bunch of games like this, usually about selling drugs. Sort of in the, as like early shareware stuff. But yeah, I mean, those were really fun to think about, but I think in the end, what we ended up doing with the video games is way better. Like, it sounds really cool to have all of those games be little interactive stories. And that's just really... It's especially fun as, like, a thing... It's especially fun as, like, a project. Like, it's fun to write something like that, especially. But, obviously, if this had been the case, they would not have interacted as much with the party. And so, the more straightforward approach we ended up with... like, worked way better with having a bunch of party members that can interact with it. And you can still sort of, like, imagine what that game plays like, So it kind of lets the players sort of fill in the blanks more. That the games are a little bit less... like, a little bit less that you're actually playing them, And yes, also, that would have made them more tedious to go through. Yeah. And that would have made it kind of more of a pain to... Yep. That's another part of it, too. The more elaborate they are, the more like work it would be to go through them. It's like playing an extra little game every time you're playing. And yeah, there's a cost to that. That's not free. That's, that would have, like, people would have probably wanted to play less of those games because they would have to actually think their way through all the time instead of just being, okay, I'm choosing to play this game because I want that skill, It would have been like a whole thing every time. I think that's the kind of thing where, like maybe one game being like that would have worked, Like maybe one game being like this where maybe like the specific way you play it gives you like a different skill. So then you have a reason to actually pay attention. Because it's like, okay, if I play it this way. Like imagine just one of those games you happen to be more invested in. And it's like this branching story, but depending on how the story ends, you end up with a different skill, Like that would have kind of worked, because at least there's kind of a reason you're paying attention to it, right? Like that would have potentially worked for just one game. But something that's on all of the games, yeah, that would have made it way less replayable. I mean, I kind of like the games as being specifically things that makes Sam stronger. That kind of may give Sam a bit of a unique component where he's like customizable in the way that the characters are not. I kind of like the contrast that gives. Like you're customizing your party and you're in some way like equipping them and deciding what they have and what part of their builds you're sort of focusing on. But then for Sam, you have all of these different approaches you can take. I think that's fun. Feels like, you're kind of getting, like, it's almost like a skill system. It's a really stupid version of a skill system, Some of the skills might need a little bit more balancing. There might be some skills that are a little too niche or not really working properly. Although, as far as like the bugs go, they should be fixed. So there's a few game skills that are bugged. They should all be fixed in this coming update. So hopefully that's going to help more of those skills shining a little bit. Also, some of the games are a little difficult to get. Like some of the games are you get so late that it's really difficult to build a strategy around them. That was probably a design flaw. I probably should have focused on the games being mostly found. Like almost all of the games should have been found in the game's first half. Now, most of the games are mostly in the first half, but, Is the reptile football skill really bad? The idea is that it's a skill that scales to your defense. So if you make Sam into kind of a tank using defense instead of life, that's supposed to make to give him a pretty good hard-hitting skill that also can stun. One potential design flaw was also to make that the starting skill, the starting games that you have in your apartment are a little too good, maybe. I think it was a good idea to make them pretty solid, but I think they're like some of the best skills, right? That might have been a bit of a mistake. That you don't really have to, Like the jump attack is basically one of the most useful skills, and you just have it right away. That might have been just a little too helpful. Yeah, that flattens the game a little bit. When something is so good that basically everyone does the same thing, you know. That's that makes it a little less interesting. It's not like a fatal flaw or anything. Yeah, Screamer especially, I think. I did nerf Screamer a little bit. Yeah. And maybe I'll nerf them a little further. The thing is, it's really tricky to nerf things properly. Like, when you nerf something like this, you want to nerf it just enough that it's no longer a complete slam dunk for everyone, you know? If you know how the game works, right? You want to push these just out of being a complete slam dunk. You don't actually... It's very easy to accidentally just make them bad, because that makes the game even less interesting. If a skill is less useful, it's like it doesn't exist, right? So, you want it to remain useful. You just want to push them off of being the thing absolutely everyone gets, you know? Yeah, Nitro Boost is so useful. But the thing is, Nitro Boost is exactly the kind of move that needs to be really good. Like, because like a buff that buffs like your speed and your evasion is exactly the kind of boost that, like, if you don't notice it being effective, you're never gonna, like, it needs to be noticeably effective, you know, to be something people even consider using, because that kind of buff is very easy to underestimate. So it kind of needs to be extra strong, if you see what I mean. Like, evasion and agility buffs are sort of a hard sell in a game where, you know, the action economy is very fragile. So you kind of want to go a little extra on moves like that. You want to make them extra good. So this one's gonna... I think balancing down Nitro Boost would be... is like particularly tricky. I think the safest approach would just be to increase its cost a bit. I think that would be the only approach here. It would be to just increase its cost a little bit. I forget what its current cost is. Numbness is really, really nice, but it is a bit more niche. It is getting nerfed. I forget if it's already been nerfed or not. That numbness is now only applicable to the user. It's not something you can apply to another character, which makes it much weaker. But it's still really strong. It's just, you just can no longer apply it to your whole party. You can only apply it. You can only use it to make Sam. Okay, yeah, that change is already implemented. Yeah, I think with that change, numbness is fine. Like, it's still really good, but it's still somewhat niche. It's only, its utility goes from being crazy overpowered to only being something you might need sometimes, right? Yeah, using cost to balance is generally much better than making something weaker. Unless it's just broken. Unless it's, like, really, really broken. Then you might. But yes, tweaking the cost is generally, like, the ideal approach. And yeah, the goal is always to just move something out of the range of being something everyone always wants to use and everyone always wants to get, Like, you want to push it off of that a little bit. Make it that it's not always, like, the first thing you do at the start of every fight, For every build. Yeah. Yeah, it's Nitro Boost, I think. Now, here's the thing. There's a potential, there's a possibility that Nitro Boost being so cheap is one of the main reasons people use it, right? Like, people might be mostly giving it a chance because it's so cheap. And if I increased its cost to like 6, which is probably what it should actually cost, maybe fewer people would give it a chance. You know, because 6, that's a steeper cost, especially at the start of the game. You know? Like, 3 feels like something where the real cost isn't the stamina. The real cost is the turn, right? To me, that's how I think of like any skill that costs like, 1, 2, or 3, 4, even. To me, that's like a skill where the main cost is that you're losing a turn, and the stamina is just also there. Like, that's a minor element, right? To me, that's kind of how I think of that. 6 starts to actually make it. With 6, it feels like it's more of an actual cost. And yeah, maybe that would be the solution here for Nitro Boost. Just bumping the cost to 6. I think that would make people usually just hesitate a little bit more before using it. No, not 3 turns. That would be that would weaken it too much. No. Making it 3 turns, considering that you're already like wasting a turn to use it. I mean, if you have a full party, you're still boosted. Like, you still have a bunch more actions. But yeah, no, 3 turns. That's too short. I think that would hurt its usability too much. I think it would go from people use it every time to people almost never use it, unless they have like a really agility based build, right? Yeah. Yes. Usually, the turn you use it on counts. It's kind of, I'm never too certain on exactly the. I'm never too certain on the exact rules for when the current turn counts or not. Because there's a few different ways you can make the game count the turns on status effects. Okay, one other possibility that might be a little spicy for a Nitro Boost would be that it has a chance to go away when someone takes damage. But I don't know. I think just increasing the cost to 6 would already be a big improvement. Yeah, I think I should stick to that. Just increasing the cost to 6. I think that's going to move it from being something you use every time to being something where you're using it like, either specifically defensively to like help your, help just reduce the sheer amount of damage you're taking against the boss if you're feeling like you need a little extra defensive help, and this is like the best defensive help that Sam can provide, basically, to the whole party. Yeah, I think boosting the cost to 6. I think that should do it. You know what? Let's do it right now, even. Yeah, it's still 3. Boosting it to 6. Yeah. Yeah, like it's now you're gonna look a little bit more to your remaining stamina, you know? Yeah. That makes it more of a decision instead of just a slam dunk. You want to avoid the slam dunks if you can. At least the universal slam dunks you want to avoid. You know, sometimes it's fine if something is just always good because it just fits your specific strategy, right? The problem is, no, it's good for everyone. Everyone should just use it at the start of any, you know. Yeah, jump attack, that could be another one, but... Yeah, jump attack is another one I might adjust. 2 is very little. Oh yeah, that is a bug that's getting fixed. That jump attack was actually ignoring the item break. Yeah, so that's just something that's been fixed. So jump attack no longer ignores the item break chance. So that's a pretty major. That was not an intentional strength of it. That was just accidental. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's tricky. No. I kind of like jump attack being easy to get. Like the thing about jump attack is it's meant to be easy to get to teach you to play games. That playing games gives you skills, right? Like it's meant to be the one you get early on to tell you that playing video games isn't just something that helps like your sort of management stats. It actually gives you like battle abilities, right? So that's meant to be like, the first one you get, and cool, gives you a new attack, right? Just meant to sort of reward you for interacting with the games. I'm thinking again, just an MP, just a stamina cost adjustment. I'm just not sure if it should be 3 or 4. I don't want to change. I don't want to change it too much because it's already getting a nerf because I'm fixing the part where it was ignoring break rate. It's not actually a huge change to break rate. Like it's just a bit more likely to break than a regular attack. It's just 20% more likely. A relative 20%. So if it was a 10% chance to break, it becomes a 12% chance. So it's not a, it's not a significant change. It's just a bit more likely to break than a regular attack. I think I might boost it to... I think 3. Considering that it's now also breaking your weapons, I don't want to double dip on changing the, I want to be careful not to double dip here with the tweak. So I'm just going to increase the cost to 3. Yeah. Just to 3. Let's be careful about it. Yeah. So yeah, I removed the accidental thing that was making it really, really busted, and just increased the cost a little bit. I think, I feel like it was a definite pick, but I think part of what made it a definite pick is that it's a simple source of better damage, and also the glitch was maybe part of it too. But it's just a simple, and also it's easy to give it to sort of make it fit well with, because it's like the other component that works well with it is the boost to agility, which you can get from another skill that you can get from the start of the game, right? so it's like an easy, almost built-in, skill, you know, skill interaction, right? And that's good. That's good about it. And so it being simple and sort of easy to pair with another buff that makes it good, I think that's part of the charm of it. And so keeping it something that's like, easy to experiment with and has sort of a low barrier of entry, I think makes sense. So I don't want to be too bold in trying to balance it down. So yeah, let's just start with a little tweak and then we'll see. Yeah, we're working on some translations. I'm communicating with the people to do the translations, and we're figuring out the exact way it's gonna work still. There's been some technical issues where we've been figuring out. We're not going to do the full translations in a bunch of languages at first. We're going to, because this is sort of a... We're just starting with one language, and then we'll see from there like how smoothly the process was going for it. To see if there's any sort of issues about the way that we're going to try to do the translation. And then we'll consider going for like, the usual languages that Devolver makes localizations for. But yeah, we're just starting with one to just test out the process, So there's several video game skills that were broken, that were literally not working. So those are essentially getting a buff, because now they're going to be working. So it's kind of hard to judge some of those, I think Garrison was broken, right? A bunch of the gun-related ones. A bunch of the gun-related ones were broken, I think. I went through them a little while ago. Yeah, I think one of them, like, we're supposed to give a specific status effect, like a buffing status effect, and it just didn't apply it. I forgot. I had set up the status effect and everything. It was just never being applied. So, folks, making video games is hard, folks. It's hard. Wow. I have a lot of people helping me for playtesting and finding bugs, including the people working on the Mirror Haze wiki. They've been very, very helpful. Keeping on top of all the bugs people have found. Making a big detailed list of them. Yes, I did change those. Dungeon Dance no longer does that. With Risk Taker and Dungeon Dance. These no longer make you lose control. I don't think Dungeon Dance was supposed to make you lose control. I think... Yeah. Oh, actually, Screamer is another... I think... wait, didn't I already nerf Screamer? The beta testers and the play testers from the firm are two different groups. So I have people that help me test the game for like difficulty and balance reasons, and those are people that I interact with more. MTMson in chat is one of them there. Also Jahir is one of them. There's a few people that have been helping me with balance. But the playtesting firm is Lionbridge, and they're completely separate. They're like and those are focusing more on like playtesting to find bugs. They have like a huge, like professional bug finders, you know. All right, let's see. Screamer. Let's see. Had I actually done Screamer now costs 8. Is that the current cost of it in the game? I forget if I already adjusted it. Costs 8, and it's a 50% chance to do panic. And the damage it does is 10 plus 2 times the level. Not, it ignores defense. It ignores defense. And it's a shock element. It was already 8 stamina, yeah. What kind of damage does it do? Yeah, I forget if I already made the difference there. No, yeah, Screamer costs 4, now it costs 8. Okay, so I did double its cost. Yeah. You know, it was 4. Now it's 8. Yeah. The damage isn't very high, but Panic is really strong status. Panic is a very strong status. Although it doesn't... They might have jumped the gun? Yeah, maybe they made the change. Maybe they made the change early. Can someone verify in-game real quick how much it costs? Panic prevents the use of certain abilities, but it doesn't work on all abilities. And also on certain ways that skills are used, sometimes are immune to it. So it's like, if an enemy uses a certain skill, like every turn, in addition to their normal skills, or at like a specific time, like it's triggered by code, then Panic does not usually prevent it from being used. But if an enemy has a skill that's part of their normal enemy, like enemy AI script, that's when Panic prevents them from using that. And so if that happens, they just default to only doing regular attacks. Yeah. So they can't use their normal AI to use a skill, and they would just default to using attacks instead. Yeah. So they still occasionally use special skills. Although there's some of the special skills that I manually programmed to also take panic into action. So sometimes it's also going to prevent them from using even programmed skill actions. Yep. Nope. Agility does not affect evasion. I think the agility boost from Ernest might just separately boost evasion, though. I think. Because I usually pair the two thematically. Like, usually something that boosts agility is often also going to boost evasion. But it doesn't... I'm pretty sure it's not a built-in thing. Oh, well, I can look for feedback. Feedback is it is non elemental damage. That means nothing can resist it, but nothing is weak to it. And it costs 4. It doesn't do a status effect. It is a certain hit. Yeah, it's typeless damage. And yeah, it does more damage than it does do more damage than yeah, it sounds like it would make blast damage instead. That wouldn't really make much of a difference between this and none, because there's very few enemies that resist blast damage, and I don't think there's any enemies that's weak to it. So I don't think it would change much, but blast does make a bit more sense here. You know, it's a... Yeah. Maybe I could boost its MP cost? Maybe I could. I think it should be cheaper than... Are the shades weak to blast? They're weak to fire. I forget if they're weak to blast, the shades. They are weak to blast. Ooh. Yeah, they take 50% more damage from blast. Look at that. I mean, I kind of like that. Yep, there I did add the unused shades. Yes. Yeah, it's not. I mean, I'm thinking about them just in terms of like, what are the kinds of things that you consider a high cost for this? I don't think I should double it to 8. I don't think it should be a cost of 8 MP. I think 8 is too much. Like, it is a little weaker. It is a little weaker. Yeah, I'm thinking 6. I feel like anything that hits all enemies, 4 is just too little for something that hits all enemies. But it doesn't do a status. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's going to be 6. I think 6 would work. and Screamer is 8. Screamer adds the status effect on top, and it's shock damage, which a lot of enemies are weak to. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think Screamer deserves 8. It does less damage though. Feedback does do I think twice the damage that I think it does twice the damage just on the raw numbers that Screamer does. But the status, the damage type is is a better one. No, but I don't think there's any enemy. I think the only enemy that resists blast might be the trench digger. I think that's the only one that resists blast. And the APC. I think the APC resists blast too, but I think that's basically it. No, it's actually weak. It's actually weak to blast by 25%. Yeah, actually weak to blast by 25%. So I don't think there's anything that actually resists blast. Oh, yeah, okay, there you go. So yeah, these guys resist blast and bullet a little bit. Yeah. Yes, okay, yeah, Trench Digger does as well. So for some reason, APC is weaker to blast. Probably shouldn't be. You know what? Nah. Although, I mean, it makes sense to use, like, you know, a bomb to blow up a tank. You know? I don't know. Maybe it should just be normal. Nah, yeah. Kind of makes sense that they resist it. But yeah, it just costs 2 more now. I think a cost of 6 is more appropriate for something that hits everybody. I think that's more appropriate. Okay. Now let's do Morton is getting a pretty good buff. Morton is now getting unique abilities from all the items that are from any item that's being any item that Morton is holding with his lower arms. Now give him a unique ability. And he can use up the item to use the ability. And that does make the item go away, but in return it does something pretty good. Yeah, there might be a little bit more about Morton. I'm not going to reveal all the secrets. I'm not revealing all the secrets. All right, I'm going to go make me some some tea, folks. I'll be back with a little bit of tea, folks. I'll be right back. Yep. Alrighty. Ooh. I got some tea. Got some English tea #1. But after this I'm basically out of fancy teas after that. Gonna need to get me some more. I think actually after this, I might. I think after this, and after I've implemented the new graphics for the fight and everything, I might work on actually giving sprites to all of the unique little things that Morton can fidget with, because they don't actually have sprites yet. Yeah, I might make some changes to unmask. And the final thing missing is coffee. There are a lot of people struggling to get Helen to knock at their door because she's not supposed to be particularly rare. So there might be a glitch. There might be something Hmm. Hmm. But yeah, getting those characters like every other run is about what I is kind of what I want. Hmm. Also, about Morton appearing rarely, is he actually only appearing rarely, or is it more like, maybe you see him every other run, but he often shows up before you have junk, and so because of that, he's not necessarily rare to see, but he's really rare to recruit, right? So like, do you actually see him rarely, or is it just that you can only rarely recruit him? Hmm. Yeah. But well, the thing is, the way that it works. But yes, that's what I'm. So he doesn't actually appear that rarely. He appears about as rarely as other characters, but the extra requirement makes that a little worse, right? Because you can't necessarily recruit him when he shows up, right? Yeah. Well, we'll see. Like I said, there's some changes with Morton. We'll see what y'all think of that when it comes out. Yeah, there are some changes coming. Yes, now it is easier to get junk. That's part of it. That's definitely going to be part of it. Yeah, it should be a lot easier to get junk now. In the current live build, yes. In the current live build, you don't actually get junk from weapons, but in the update, you will. Although now that there is more uses to junk, that might kind of compensate and make it difficult to get the 4-leaf clover if you're now more likely to be using the fidget ability, since now the fidget items actually give unique skills that use up the item. Love that song. This is my phone. This song is my is still my phone ring. Yeah, the Gatling needs a buff, doesn't it? Yeah, it does. The ammo is very rare for it. So it definitely needs a buff. All right, we got Mutt, folks. Actually, Mutt over here has like the wrong lighting here. Yeah. Okay, Ellie, it's time to cut it up. The trophy's the most dangerous part of that fight, if it's there. I'm pretty sure the trophy is the most dangerous part of the fight. Isn't it? Jaheir? Yep, Jaheir and MTM's son there. Both tested the fight, and they can attest. If the trophy's there, it's probably the first thing you attack. It's pretty bad. That trophy's gotta go. Yep. That trophy's gotta go. Okay, time to export all of that shit. I mean, the trophy is only there if you're going out of your way to attack him on the final day. Right? Because the trophy only appears on the final day. So I felt like it needed to be, like, extra bullshit. You know? Like, if it's present, you're looking for a challenge. You're on purpose trying to challenge yourself, you know? So that just feels appropriate to me. I think Mutt just wants all the fish and chips for himself. Just wants it all for himself. And you can take that one to the bank. You can buy it, yes. You can buy it. Alright, here it comes. The worst song in the game followed by the best one. Everyone loves the fucking circus music when you're trying to portray an evil other world. Everyone goes for the circus music. Imagine, you know, imagine a song like that for the glitch world in Look Outside. Ooh, circus music. I mean, that would have been terrifying for Sam specifically, but that's more of a personal issue. Insane, insane, insane. Yep. And then it is followed by the two best bangers of that whole soundtrack. I mean, every RPG needs a really good final boss, really good final boss theme. This game might have like one of the best ones. Alright, here's Godmut. I'm gonna need to import all of Godmut one by one. There we go. So first, my favorite track in Look Outside is probably still it's probably still Exposure. So yeah, I do need to export a different version of MUT for any combination of items any of the parts can have. That is the somewhat annoying part of this whole thing. Well, it helps that I separated MUT into a bunch of different parts. It helps that I separated them into a bunch of different parts. That means, because it would have been way too many combinations otherwise. Yep. Okay, this one. So first I'm going to do it without the chainsaw because the chainsaw changes all of it. Now I just add the armor. Now just with the armor is this one. Laughter is a really good one too. finally, with all the items. Okay, that's the biggest one. That was the biggest one. Actually, oh, missing one, actually. This one. That is without the armor, but with the Pickelhaube. Okay, that's the head. Next, let's do body 4. Body 4. This one. Now just with coffee. Now just with the spear. Now with both. This one's got a little bit more of them. Let's do with the backpack first. Then we do with the belt, then the dagger, then with all. There we go. Save this. Export this. Now with only the backpack. Oh. Right. There we go. Red belt.
Oh no, it's time to stretch.
And then there we go. It's time to stretch. It's time to stretch. It's time to stretch. And so I'll do it. Oh, I'll do it. Oh, I'll do it. Doing it right now. boopity boopity boo. Boopity beep boopity boo. Ooh. Yeah. I can't believe this fish is taken out. This fish is taking his fish out for a walk. I think it's a taxonomy joke. All right. Let's do it. I've been streaming for 10 years, so I'm sure there's things I've repeated more than that. Thank you. I am very much am the bug. Good username. So Safety Gamer in the Twitch chat is the composer, and he mostly uses Fruity Loops. But there's another composer, non-collision object, that uses PX Tone, and you can kind of tell the difference in audio between the two. This is Godmod, yes. Well, we are both from Quebec. Okay, I think I've exported all of the images. Yep, I did. Neat. Neat. Okay, I'm going to playtest this after the stream. I don't want to show too much of the fight now that it's mostly all done. I don't want to be showcasing too much of the fight at this point. I mean, updating the sprite was like the main thing missing. Okay, let's make some assets for all of the things that Morten can yeah, I'll put all of Morten's items here, I think, just above the games. I think they would fit there. Alright, so. First, maybe an icon for Morton's lower arms. That I could maybe set aside. With all the limbs. Oh, maybe it should be an empty thing, because the whole point is that it's an empty slot if it doesn't have anything. Maybe just a pair of hands really looking for something to do. You know? Some idle hands. It's not really big enough that I can show the gross idea that I had for Morton's hands. Never really had an opportunity to have that be visible in any assets. Sorry, Retching Vulture. I tried, I really did. I just couldn't make it not look stupid. The leg worms is the closest thing you'll get. It always looked stupid. Yeah, this is Morton's empty lower arms. Yep. I tried, I really did. It just always looked way too stupid. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Foot Guys. I'm sorry. The thing you're into just looks really silly. There's no two ways about it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Get a thing that works. I feel like 3 fingers make more sense here. Yes, I have heard of the Courier. I have heard of the Courier. I only watched the first, like, 10 seconds of the video because I want to actually play it when it comes out. I'll probably play it on stream. But I don't want to see it before I play it. Okay, there's the hands. Okay, now let's draw garbage. Let's draw garbage. Let's keep the list here. Garbage. So what would a piece of garbage look like here? I don't actually have a junk one, so this could also be junk. No, to me, garbage, that word is a bit more neutral. But for something that's rotting, it would be more refuse to me. But that, I'm not sure if that connotation is accurate. To me, this is more like... I mean, junk to me sounds like something that should be... that should have some metal in it. Something that clangs. You know? To me, refuse is rotting and disgusting. Garbage is more general. And junk has metal in it. It's, you know... To me, that's how that works. Trash, yeah, trash might be more neutral. Garbage to me feels like something that doesn't even necessarily... Like, to me, garbage just means worthless, you know? To me, trash specifically goes in a black bag, you know? In a black plastic bag, you know? Well, garbage to my mind, garbage can be larger chunks, you know? Garbage can also be like, you know, furniture on the side of the road. But trash to me, it cannot be furniture. You know, trash to me is smaller. Like half of them. Maybe more than half of the bosses. I would say about half the enemies and more than half the bosses. Chaotic derps. Yeah, I know. To me, trash needs to be small enough to be put in a bag. But garbage can be bigger chunks. But, you know, I'm not native English speaker, so the connotations in my mind might not be accurate to most people, you know. And refuse to me rots. Refuse to me is something that smells bad and is rotting and gooey, you know? Like, refuse is slimy in my mind. Slimy and like toxic too. I also think of toxic with refuse. And excrement is specifically shit. But refuse can be just anything toxic, I think. Waste also makes me think toxic waste, but waste feels like the most general one. Like, waste feels like the most general one. It feels to me like, what's the... It feels like, trying to minimize, like like a word to... Yeah, to me it's like you're diminishing... You're trying to diminish how much you're, all the stuff you're throwing away by calling it waste. It's like minimizing it. Yeah. Rubbish to me... Like, in my mind, rubbish also is like the same as like... Can be the same as like... Knick-knack. You know? To me, rubbish can be like... Just something that doesn't work, or something that's useless. Something that's worthless. So, like, rubbish can be something that's not actually junk, but is just worthless. Like, you just bought it, and that was a waste of your money. You know? Like, it's an insult to an object, instead of just a description. Yeah, so that is going to be garbage. And what about refuse? Refuse, I feel, should be like a white plastic bag with something foul in it. There's a lot of things Morten should not be playing with that you can give him with that skill. Including the fucking lament configuration, which I still didn't set up what it does. I still didn't actually set up what the lament configuration does. I have an idea for it. It's just not working yet. Well, the idea for the puzzle box was that it would be something you need to use repeatedly. A little bit like the gun skill you get from Pierre's accessory. But way stronger, and it's not per battle. It's like... Maybe it would be like at the start of the game, there's a number of times. I don't know. Like, there could be a random number of times set up at the start of the game, or when you get it, that decides in how many attempts to open the box it's actually going to go off. And because... I mean, there might be something fun about that. Like, you don't know how many times you use it, so because of this, you can't really pre-use it. Well, you can, because you can reload. So you can test to see how many times and count it, and then reload to know exactly how to use it. So I don't know. Like, the problem with something like this is you always have to think about what the exploit would be, and then if the exploit is really boring, then you should probably avoid that, because that means people are going to use the really boring exploit and then feel like the game is boring. Always need to think about what the exploit is and then decide, is the exploit really, really boring to use? And will people still use it? The rubber band. Next is a pencil. Actually, more of a pen. It's a bit more fidgety if it's a pen, because you can clickety click. Maybe. And a pair of dice. Hey, Vagon Velocita. Thank you. I'm glad. The strange trinket. What should it actually look like? This one does trinket bomb, which is explosive. No, that's a little goofy. I'm not sure what a trinket that turns out to be explosive should look like. Yeah. It could look like a grenade. I think that's kind of funny. What are you hey Morton. Morton. What are you fiddling? What are you fiddling with there? No. I kind of like it. I mean, it does look like something you could fidget with. The pin and the little lever and the texture, you know? I kind of like it. It's really stupid. It's like literally a joke. But I kind of like it. What are you fiddling with? What's that in your hands? No! I don't know. I think I'll just do it. Well, listen. Got an ex-war veteran with somehow with a bunch of weapons from that time, you know? Yeah. A lot of old war keepsakes that I don't know if they're really meant to have. Yeah, maybe they're literally from the war zone too. That's a load of junk. Everybody and their mums are packing around here. I'm sorry, you've just you just got me started, Benazzi. You just got me started. It is my favorite movie. It wasn't Shaun of the Dead. That was oh, actually, I wasn't thinking of the Shaun of the Dead one. Actually, you said Shaun of the Dead, but I was actually thinking of Hot Fuzz. That's my favorite. In Hot Fuzz, there's all the weapons. Yeah, I didn't remember the one from Shaun of the Dead. I just replaced it with Hot Fuzz in my brain. That's a load of junk. It's a good movie, folks. That pin was a little too big. I feel like what I kind of want the description of the grenade to be like you can't quite tell what he's got in his hands there. You can't really tell what it is, but he's pulling at it. He's pulling a little ring. No. I kind of like that. That's fun. I love modding. Oh, Metallic Lighter, that's a classic fidget thing. Metallic lighter. Little Zippo. Little Zippo. Yep. It does not have a fidget spinner, though. I did not put in a spinner, but I did put in a cube. Next one is an odd knickknack. What would the odd knickknack? I think it does shock damage, so it probably should be like some sort of... Yeah, it does static shock. So I'm not sure what that should be. Yeah, something that sparks. Yeah, it'll just be like a piece of junk with wires in it. You know? It'll be like a piece of junk. You can't really tell what it is, but it's gonna have like some wires sticking out. Go. Nice little odd knickknack. Then a butterfly knife. Classic thing to fidget with.
Oh no, it's time to stretch.
And this one just gives you a really nasty stab attack. These are illegal in Canada, I'm pretty sure. And let's do a little stretch. I have rebalanced the rate at which you receive marbles for Sophie, yes. You should be receiving them more often in the update. The amount that you receive now has become sort of the minimum you receive. And I made it that based on luck, she can receive more. So she now has a chance to receive more whenever she receives some. So yeah, Sophie should have a bit more. The ways you get more is the same though, so that hasn't changed. You just get a little bit more of them now. So just a little tweak. Let's say that's a butterfly knife. Then we have a rotten flesh, which I can kind of reuse this one here and mess with it a bit. That did get you fixed. Severed hand. I do have a severed hand there. I'll just use that one. Mysterious prism. Yeah, it's a bit of a... The color palette of this whole sprite sheet is all sorts of messed up. I mean, there's a lot of losers of that lottery. A lot of fate's worse than death and look outside. That's the mysterious prism. Then the fidget cube. Which is definitely a more recent invention, but... Look outside's, Look outside's timeline clarity is, you know... Is clearly not a major concern for me. Alright, that kind of works. A human skull. I think I have one here. Huh, I'll just draw one. Next to the bone. The bone! We all like a bone. There we go. That's a skull. Warm eyeball. Well, I have an eyeball already. And then the puzzle box. Okay, the puzzle box. I still am not sure exactly how I want it to work. Let's just draw the basic one to start. I mean, I probably can't literally make it look like that. I feel like I can't literally make it look like... Yeah, I probably can't actually make it look like that. I mean, I don't know. Maybe those puzzle boxes like this are actually like a standard thing. You know? Like, it's possible. But I feel like that was designed by an artist for the movie. You know? I mean, there are puzzle boxes. Puzzle boxes are a thing. I actually have some. Maybe some other time. Can't just flaunt your cubes and not show them. I'm not sure yet exactly how I want this to work. I'm not sure how I want the cube to work so that it's interesting. In the game. I feel like definitely part of it should be that every time you use it, it's kind of random what happens. And most of the time nothing happens. But then something... It doesn't work at all right yet. Right now it's just an idea for the most rare of all of the things Morton can get from fidgeting with junk. That's all it is right now, just the rare thing. Doesn't actually do anything yet. Yes, Morton has gotten a bit of a rework. Just a bit of an improvement that all of Morton's objects, instead of just giving a passive upgrade, now all of the items also give a special skill that you can use. So Morton now has a bunch of different skills depending on which item he currently has equipped. What could it be? What could it be? I'm thinking like, okay. Yeah, I'll need to think about this a little more. Oh, the 8-ball is changing. The way you get the 8-ball is different in the new update. It's more difficult to get it early now though. So now the 8-ball is an end game item. You need to do stuff to get it. But it's stronger as well. Yep, it's not RNG based anymore. I mean, there's always been cool stuff you can find, but nothing has replaced the 8-ball, no. Yeah, I need to think a little bit more about what to put on here. No, I also made the wish for money a little bit better, since now it's an end game item. Yes, the wish for money is still has a significant drawback, but it's a little bit better. Mechanical pencil. There's the dice. There's the strange trinket. Let's change the text of that one. Odd trinket he won't let you have a look at. Odd trinket he won't let you have a good look at. Fidgeting with this boosts match HP. That's good. That works. Metallic lighter. Odd knickknack. Butterfly knife. Rotten flesh. Severed hand. Mysterious prism. Fidget cube. Fidget cube is the best one still. But now the thing you can use it for is also really good. The skull. The warm eyeball. There we go. And let's also give these to the skills. So these are all the skills so far. There's toss garbage. There's eat refuse. Each refuse recovers stamina. There's the rubber band shot, which is just like a gunshot. So Morton is really good at shooting rubber bands. There's the pencil stab. That's just a really gnarly stab with a pencil. There's the lucky draw, which is just a highly random damage with the dice. There's trinket bomb. Trinket bomb. Lighter burn. Fire attack, obviously. Static shock. Now, he doesn't get like a lot of skills because he can only have one of these at a time. So this really just adds one skill to his set. But that skill can change between a bunch of different ones. So it gives you kind of two reasons you might want to keep a certain item as a fidget. Like you might not like the passive effect of something that much, but you might really want its ability. Or you might really like the ability, but using the ability loses the item. So because of that, you might want to, and you might not get that item again for a while, so I feel that hopefully that should be that should make for some good decision making. Yep. That's all done. There's some assets left to draw on it. And now I do have a little bit more time to do the... I do have a little bit more time to do all of the missing... I do have a little bit more time now to do all of the missing... all of the assets for that, now that the update is coming out next week instead of this week. There we go. Yeah, it is next week now. We couldn't get... we unfortunately could not get another test this week. The earliest we could get one last day of testing was Tuesday next week, which is unfortunate because I really wanted to have more time for testing. But it's still fine. All right, all right. Yeah, nice. So yeah, I did what I wanted to do today. I finished the new God assets and gave sprites to all of Morton's skills. Yep. Well, not exactly vacation, but yes, Wednesday next week, I'll be leaving for 5 days. So that does give me a very narrow amount of time. Tuesday is going to be the test, although, like, the different time zones, basically, when I wake up that morning, the test is over. Or, like, at noon or so, by noon, it's over. So if everything goes well, unless they find, like, huge problems, Tuesday noon, um, it should be ready to launch the update, but we'll see. So that should give me the rest of that day to react if anything's wrong with the update. And then the following day, I mean, I'll be too busy leaving. But I will have my laptop with me, so if any issues come up, I'll be able to do a quick fix while I'm away. Let's actually place on quick bandage and quick first aid. Let's actually put the bandage and the first aid on there. There we go. That's a little better. There's not going to be more achievements, no. There is going to be one achievement now has one achievement now, was easy to get and kind of meaningless before. But yeah, Godmut is new, but the achievement already exists and you can already get it, even though it's an easy fight right now. So it's not really a new achievement, it's just an achievement that's got an actual challenge tied to it now that didn't before. Yeah, there's some new icons for some of the achievements that didn't really have special assets for. So there's going to be some... there's going to be a few things there. Also, the X rank is going to be a little harder to get now. The X rank is going to get... it's going to have a higher requirement. But you'll still keep the achievement if you already got it. I think any like cursed mode clear is probably the hardest achievement to get. There is going to be some content, and I'm not going to mention all of the new content in the update text, so there's going to be some secrets I put in there. But it's not... Don't expect an update the size of the last one. It's not as big as that. But yes, there's some secrets. There's some extras. Don't tell them about the ziggurat. The ziggurat. That's secret. That's top secret. $182. $182. All right. Okay, yeah, that's going to be it for tonight, folks. That's going to be it for tonight, folks. So before I go... Oh, also, note that there is a... yes, it is now... Lookout Tide is now out on Good Old Games. If you're looking for some, for a DRM-free copy. And it is on sale as well, yes. Alright, but yes, before I go, let me quickly link my Patreon. Please have a look. Thank you. And now let's look for someone to raid. Oh, the Eldrake, sorry. That's bad timing. I'm just about to leave. Alas. Last second. Caught me right at the end. Caught me lacking. Let's see. Let's raid Dr. Niar.
Oh, Jesus, there's a big poop monster.
Let's raid Dr. Niar if they allow for raids.
We can't go this way anymore, so we gotta go this way.
They do. All right. All right, folks.
What are you?
Thank you all for watching. And this might be their first time playing, so careful about spoilers. But yeah, thank you all for watching, and take care.
What if it's one of the kids? What if these are the kids? They look like children.